Hey everybody! Hey, how's it going? It's Coach Joseph, aka Coach Papa Joseph. I hope you are having a fantastic Wednesday. I don't know if you noticed on my feed as of late, you may have seen a lot, a lot of posts about the push-up challenge. About the push-up challenge. So, what is this all about? Well, it's an amazing initiative to raise awareness for mental health, and guess what? It's not any ordinary push-up challenge. We're talking about, we're not nominating everybody. We're just going out there doing the best we can, inspiring others just to talk about it, right? When it comes to mental health, we must talk about it. Now, my friend, mentor, Sergeant Ken has been leading this initiative, taking over CanFit Pro's account. Yes, on Instagram. And this is what he did, and taking the opportunity to spread the word, to use someone else's account to spread the word of mental health, to really support others in need. And mostly the veterans, we're talking about the armed forces, we're talking about, the Canadian Armed Forces, the American Armed Forces, all the armed forces around the world have to go, tragically, they succumb to battles with mental health. So we want to make sure we keep the hope up, keep that resilience tank loaded up. And I'm alone live, but I got a special guest with you today. Yes, the one, the only, drum roll please. If you're watching this, I need a little drum roll.
And hey, there he is.
Hey, hoo-ah, man.
Hoo-ah, my friend. How are we doing?
Bud, I'm doing great, thanks.
Oh, man, I love that shirt, brother. I love it.
It's the limited edition Sergeant Ken collection.
That's right. That's right. We did that on a trial run at one of the conferences, and it went out like crazy. And I think we sent one you directly because of all the great work you've always done for us and for CanFit Pro itself. So we're happy that you have that limited signed edition.
I need signed edition. Oh, don't tell me I washed off the autograph.
Yeah, it was on the label.
Oops. All right.
Oops.
So,
no worries.
So today you are taking over CanFit Pro's account, CanFit Pro's Instagram account.
Right. It started really at midnight. I was still up, kind of working on all my notes, and at midnight Central Standard Time, Central Daylight Time, which was 1 o'clock in the morning in your time, and CanFit Pro's headquarters time, we went ahead and made a post saying that, hey, this is what to expect. This is what's in the tentative timeline. We have like 12 different shows. We have shows about, behavior change. We have shows about push-up demos. We have a push-ups for mental health challenge to drive awareness for mental health and to just end this plague through some sweat equity, for us to do it all in a 12-hour period and to make it into contest. Because, we're going to be awarding people an online resilience training course, by 3 different categories. One, the most push-ups in a 12-hour period. We're going to have people tell us what their total is. It's an honor system. It's not going to be perfect, but we've never had anyone really go south on something like this. We've done it before with multiple countries, and then for something that really has this kind of cause, we're not worried about that. Number two is the most creative push-up. I already put one in the hat where I was just doing an elevated push-up with my feet on a jump sport trampoline to create some external stimulus while I was going in the push-up form. And the third thing is the best push-up demo, where much like a Fitness Idol competition, but much, much shorter and just only with one exercise, the instructor showing in a PTGX-like fashion or group training-like fashion how they're going to demo that particular exercise, whatever the exercise or whatever variation of that push-up it is. And it's those 3 categories. So 3 different people tonight, of course, you're part of this because you're one of the judges. 3 different people tonight are going to be proud recipients of the virtual version of the resilience training course and behavior change.
Well, that's a fantastic course. And so I hope people are out there right now watching this and doing push-ups at the same time and counting them.
That's right.
I've seen people already start posting, and a lot of fancy stuff. I'm gonna call out one person right now because she's tagging me. I'm seeing it. Wendy Major. Wendy Major.
Oh yeah.
She's tagging me. I'm seeing these push-ups. She's having her clients do push-ups in the dark at 5 a.m. And
I think she was up before me. I had only crashed for 2 hours here because I was working on this. I really wanted to outdo what we did last time. And so I kept making notes, and you know, because you've been aware of most of these notes because you know, you've been my right-hand man in this. But Wendy Major was like posting, saying, tagging me, saying, "Hey, when are you gonna wake up? I want to work out with you in the morning." I'm like, oh my goodness! I mean, that's amazing. I mean, because the thing is, this is all also. Most of these shows today are not only that one concept is to drive awareness for mental health, but we also we want to create a focus and drive attention to what's going on this weekend, which is one of the most unique and special events of the year, if not ever, because, you know, CanFit Pro, which has been one of the largest fitness conferences live, had to go virtual this year, and they spread it over 4 months. And I am the keynote this Saturday morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And it's called Mastering the Game of Growth. It's a completely new program where we're going to do 3 things. We're going to have people discover their why, create a better refined vision, and put it all into words, into a mission statement, and how to work that why every single day. The second thing that they're going to have a takeaway on is they're going to master the morning and dominate the day with some key strategies that I do every day to keep myself on track and to work on professional and personal development. And number 3 is to flourish with faith. And faith is not just to believe in what you are to become, it's to believe in what you are already. And this motivational, 80% motivational keynote and 20% informationally supported is going to be something that I don't think they've ever seen before. And so we wanted to start it today by doing a whole lot of things on its Instagram takeover. We've had loads of people, you're right, loads of people chiming in and saying, hey, you know, thanks for doing this. Because you're right, that first challenge that we started with this morning at 7 a.m. Eastern time was the push-ups for mental health. And it really struck my heart more than ever before. Because my wife and I became life coaches when I was trying to deal with my own PTSD. And when I finally started to go into the recognition phase and then to the healing and happiness phase, I wanted to go to the University of Pennsylvania School of Positive Psychology and become a master resilience trainer so that I can figure out not only how to maintain and keep and sustain a positive lifestyle, but to also help soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines and their family members cope with stress. Because when I first dealt with my own PTSD, the numbers were still staggering at the time. We had, you know, well over 30 people, 30 soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines taking their life every single day to suicide. And now there was a Veterans Administration study in the United States that was done where since 2005, there's been over 7,000 warriors that have lost their lives to combat. But over 100,000 have lost their lives to suicide. And according to the Center for Disease Control, the CDC, that the suicide rate amongst 10 to 14-year-olds has tripled in the last decade. This needs to end now. And we know that my brothers and sisters in Canada, our neighbors, are not immune to this at all. It's been hard to track the statistics. As you know, I think you did some due diligence to find out. You want to elaborate on that?
Well, I didn't get to look at it in detail that quickly, but the numbers are still staggering here over the course of, I think the report I looked at was from 2005 to 2019. And then I saw a number around roughly a stat from 2012 to 2017, and it's still the numbers are staggering. We're talking about in the hundreds, in the thousands, right?
Yeah, in thousands.
In thousands. And
And
so,
your military, and our military is approximately 2 million strong, if you count all the services, including the reserves and the National Guard. But
yeah,
if you look at our statistic, then you look at yours, where your military is approximately 67,000 active duty and another 31,000 reserve. If I'm roughly quoting,
yeah.
I'm not really sure if the statistics, it's close to what that is. And so if you look at where your suicide rate is, with the amount of people that you have in the military and active and in reserve, it's staggering. You're not immune to this plague as well. And especially now, we could look at right now, because we talked about this privately in several conversations, that even now during the COVID crisis, when we've been pulled apart from each other, and you see, because we survive alone, but we thrive together. Humans depend on connection. And now the only connection we really have is this isolated connectivity, to quote Dr. Samir Husni. We live in a world of isolated connectivity. So now more than ever, we really, really need to dig into what that why is all about. So I think since we have a bunch of people that are chiming in right now, I guess we should go ahead and give a sneak peek about how we've been preparing for this Saturday and the keynote called Mastering the Game of Growth. What do you think?
I think so. But I want to share something. I want to share something before we start, because you've been massive. You've been like one of the, how would I say it, the stars of Canford Pro, the conference every year. Everybody looks forward to your session, amongst many other amazing presenters. Don't get me wrong. But for me, I met you at a time in my life where I was, and I'm not shy to share it.
Yeah, you should tell that story. That's a good story.
I'm not shy about it, because, and people know it, whoever listens to the Mindfully Resilient podcast, wink, wink, little plug right there. I share my story, how you and I met. And I was at a time where,
story.
I'll tell you something. I was at a point in my life, I'm not going to say I had a bad life, I had a miserable life. I was fortunate enough to have still a good life. I had a home, I had schooling paid for, etc. But inside here, there was a battle. I struggled with
that internal dialogue.
Exactly.
Right.
And I didn't understand the term resilience until the day I met you in August, what was it? I forget. I think it was August 12th, 2013, when I attended my first.
Was it 2013? That long ago?
Can you tell by the gray hair and the loss of hair? I mean,
or the no hair.
But I didn't know what that meant. And I was with my wife at the time, who was pregnant with our first, 8 months pregnant. And I realized,
your children are adorable.
Thank you, man. So yours, man. And you know what? I think the day I met you, you lit up that spark, starting with the boot camp at 7:30 in the morning, which destroyed me within the first 20 minutes. And
was that the one that was outside where the police came?
Yeah, that was outside when the police came.
And we turned off the music when the police came in, but then the police, I came over to the police to see, just kind of calm things down. I say, did we get the noise down to where you need it? And he goes, even without a microphone, you're louder than everyone out here. So, but they let us finish.
And I think he was sweating too while watching us work out. Later that day, I attended your Road to Resilience workshop. By the way, folks, for those watching, last year, if you attended his Road to Resilience workshop, it was 6 years in between the first one, all right, that I attended. So 2019 was 6 years later. He hasn't presented that. He hadn't presented that. It's the best one, the workshop that changed my life, because that's when I understood resilience. That's when I knew, I have these stresses, I have these challenges. How do I use them to my advantage?
Exactly.
Right? So fast forward, a lot of things happen. I become a fitness professional.
And 2 kids later.
2 kids later, here I am, laid off from my job in 2018. And thanks to the resilience training in 2018, I became a full-time fitness professional, host of a podcast. I'm inspiring lives, and it's a wonderful thing. I've taken charge. In the words of Godsmack, the heavy metal band, in one of their songs, When Legends Rise, are you going to do something about it or just stand there and bleed? All right, so that's what happened, and that's how I felt.
And that's how you and I met. And then, you know, that relationship kept on building.
Yeah.
And so, first of all, I'm going to say in front of everybody watching, thank you. Thank you
Thank
for helping us, working together to you and I build our relationship. And, you know, and without, you know, if I had known you, I wouldn't have met Stephanie, who has helped me in coaching as well, and has become is a mentor of mine as well when it comes to coaching. And by the way, for those of you watching, everything I would have said by Stephanie Weichert, please buy it on Amazon. Excellent book. Features yours truly in chapters 4 and 9. Okay, and other amazing people as well. All right, so we're talking about, and you created my why. My why, I understand, well, you helped me, like, throughout my journey, I figured out my why, which is to serve and lead others, to inspire and empower them to be better versions of themselves.
Right.
What is your why? Now, I know we're talking about the game of growth. We want to give everybody a preview, but I want people to know you more. I want people to know you better. Those who don't know you as well as I do. So what is your why in all of this?
Well, I'm going to quote Pablo Picasso, the famous artist from years ago. He didn't write this quote, but he was made famous for saying this quote, and no one really knows who wrote this quote. And if someone who's listening right now knows, please chime in below. But he says, the meaning of life is to find your gift, and the purpose of life is to give it away. And, you know, hearing this years ago, this really stuck with me. I always knew that when I was trying to discover my own why, you know, my purpose, my passion, what I wanted to do, you know, there was sports. I was in sports, and, you know, many people that have already taken my classes at Canfit Pro know my story, that I went from football hero to zero because I had forgotten about the team and dove into the end zone, fractured my back, and it ended my football career earlier, and I had to restart. I had to learn how to crawl, walk, run all over again, but also the psychological trauma of knowing that I had to reinvent myself. But in this process of reinvention, I really had trouble. I was struggling with knowing the difference between the head voice and the heart voice, because the head voice could tell me, oh, you can't do that. It's a lot of times you have this fixed mindset where you say, oh, you'll never do that. You'll never be that good to do this. You know, your back is broken. You're never going to be running again. You're never going to be leading. You're never going to join the military, right? And so, but then you've got your heart that tells you, give it a shot. It's got this growth mindset and approach. And, you know, your heart may not ever know the way, but it'll always be the way. And so it gave me the chance to actually open up an opportunity for chance. And so I realized that when I was teaching others, when I was showing others how to do things, whether it was a class or whether it was a lecture or something like that, it's when I was serving others that I actually felt alive. And that is where I realized that I'm not sure how it's going to wind up. I mean, this is years ago. This is when I broke my back at the age of 18, okay? And so I realized that in being in the service industry was where it was going to be, and somehow in teaching or training, something like that, because your why will reveal your way. And so I knew that it was in service to others. Okay, so I just started to start putting together the pieces, servicing them how? Okay, well, through fitness, because I had a great deal of knowledge of how to do it, but I just, of course, was a little bit, I was a little bit on the recovery phase, but I knew that this was going to be part of this. And, but I had to go ahead and then strengthen my own attributes so that I had people to offer, so I had something to offer them in my why. And I remember that it was the end of my senior year. I was still wearing that man girdle, that back brace, you know, to keep myself, erect and with good posture, and, you know, to help myself, support myself because of the pain that I dealt with every single day while on the road to recovery. And I remember that, you know, I was depressed. I did not know how I was going to pay for college. And so I was walking down that school. It was the last week of school, and I was walking around, and there were a lot of college recruiters that are in and out, walking around. My friends, you know, they were probably going to get football scholarships, but not me. No one's going to take the chance on me. But I saw this one room, and it said scholarships on top of the door. I didn't know what was in there, but I had nowhere else to go. And so I walk in, close the door, And I'm wearing my Letterman jacket and everything, all the pins for all the big deeds that I've done. And everyone stopped talking, and there was these three guys wearing long black trench coats that they got probably from a thrift shop, and with Wayfarer sunglasses on and Clove cigarettes in their ears. I'm really dating myself now. And one of them looked at me and said, "Well, Jock, are you lost?" I walked into the drama department, and actors and athletes don't mix. All right. And so, but I had nowhere else to go. And so I said, well, you know, how do you get the scholarships? And they were all just start laughing at me, you know, go away, you'll never amount to anything. Same head talk, right? Same fixed mindset. But all the commotion and the cacophony of dissonance started to subside when this big, huge man came to the center of the room and stood with his wide stance, and he goes, "We're doing scenes from plays." And he started explaining to me what the rules were to get the scholarship. And I thought he was piercing my very soul. And my heart voice was just saying, listen, don't hear. Just listen to everything, every ounce of it all, and then receive it. And he says, "We're doing scenes from plays. They must be at least 2 to 3 minutes of length and at least 2 characters to show your versatility and style. Now, it is 11:15 right now, and I'll take my last person at 4:15 because at 4:30 I'll be in my car driving home." Now, I don't know why that last part was important, but I get it. In the essence of the book called The Art of War by Sun Tzu, there's a Mongolian translation where it says, to be early is to be on time is to be late is to be forgotten, or in some translations to be not forgiven. And so I said, okay, I had a mission. So I quickly went to that library, and I started looking over at some things, and I knew what those other drama guys were going to do. I mean, I was the visiting team. They were the home team. This is their turf. They know what's going on. They're probably going to do something with 11 characters to show versatility and style, something from Shakespeare. But he said 2 or more characters. Keep it simple, sweetie, right? 2. I found something that had 2 characters, and I found something that was funny, sad, but it ended on a funny note. Okay, and I rehearse. And he said he was taking his last person at 4:15. At 3 o'clock, I walked in. They weren't laughing anymore, but I heard that same guy who had challenged me before at 11:15. I heard him in the back of the stands where they were all seated, and I heard him say, "Well, the athletes are serious." I said, "Oh yeah, I am." I thought in my head, right? And so they put me on stage right away, and I no idea whether I was doing it right. But again, your heart may not always know the way, but it will always be the way. And I gave it everything I had, again, because I had nowhere else to go. And at 3:03, I was done. And I was sitting in the front row, and they were making the evaluation. The drama coach, he was writing down the evaluation, and it was 6 long minutes. It was the longest 6 minutes of Seinfeld silence I have ever experienced in my entire life, all right? And so he takes the evaluation, he folds it up, and he puts it in an envelope and passes it down to the front row. Now, I guess the standard protocol might be to, okay, don't open it, right, until the end of class, which is at 4:15 when he said he was going to get his car and driving home. No, I ripped it open, and it said, "Congratulations, you've just been awarded a full scholarship in theater and opera." And that really happened. Now let's think about this. What we do, especially as group trainers and group fitness instructors, personal training 1 to 3 people, group training somewhere between 4 and 15, that number can vary, right? But 20 plus, we know is group fitness, right? But in the group world especially, when it is fitness theater, you've got to be able to move them inside in order them to receive your valuable information. It's not just to motivate them, it's to captivate them. And I realized that in putting all these things together between the theater, the voice, the military, the fitness together, it made for a perfect boot camp. And I realized that what my why was, I had to just translate that into something, into a mission statement, those I am statements of life. Like, I am a great father that teaches my children a new life skill every day. I am a a fantastic husband that learns something new about my wife every single day. I am a life changer, not a personal trainer. I am a life changer that impacts and empowers a new soul every single day. And so it's like whenever I'm not living up to those internal values, if I'm not living up to those values, what I do is I feel lost. And so when you feel lost, you try and get back on path. And so I realized that, you know, by having my why written into a mission statement, what I was able to do was keep myself back on path. And so if there's ever a day where I felt like, man, that was a bad day, it's probably because I wasn't living up to those values. Mm-hmm. And I've had people tell me all the time, say, oh, Sergeant Ken, that's really great, but you don't know what I've been through. You don't know what I've done. You don't know what kind of neighborhood I came from. Okay, you're right. Because everyone has a unique story. I too have a unique story in where I've been. But I asked that same person that challenged me one time at a conference after a keynote, I said, listen to me, when you're remembering, you know, that poor neighborhood that you came from, did you ever once believe that your dream, your destiny, do you ever once believe that your dream lived there? And we, well, I guess not. Well, then guess what? That's just your past. Your past doesn't define you, it prepares you. And while we have so many things that happen to us, we can choose to live in our why every single day. Mm-hmm. And when your vision aligns with daily efforts, your dreams become to bear fruit. And when your vision, and when you align it, and when you put it all into a mission statement of some kind, it serves as your life compass. And so for me, again, my why is to help lift people out of dark days and triumph over tough times. And that's precisely why we started Project Hope back in March in 2020 this year, gosh. Because we knew that other people were hurting worse than others, and you know this because you were one of my key speakers and organizers for this and co-hosts. Well, we just had this concept. This, you know, it was back in March. I was sitting there, and I was in. Let's see, it was March 9th. I was still in Boston. I was doing a full certification for the Reebok Fitness Center that's there. And when it was over, my wife says, she goes, well, how'd it go? And on the phone, I said, well, it went great. And she goes, great. They sent home Anderson, our 10-year-old, from school. Can you find out, that's her way of saying, can you find out from my military colleagues what's going on? Because this is back in March. No one really knew the full gravity of the situation, how these quarantine measures were going to take control of our lives, right? Yeah. And so, I called my buddy at the civil support team for the biological defense, biological, chemical, and nuclear defense team. And I said, hey, what's going on with this? He said, well, Ken, I can't tell you much, but I'm just going to give you one word: homeschool. Who knows how to do that? And my son, being this visual and kinesthetic learner, oh my goodness. And so here we were back in March, and I remember talking to you about this, because we were all like, man, I'm out of work. I lost 47 speaking gigs out of 49 in 2020. Gone. All that income, gone. Some of it will probably never be recouped. Gone. What am I going to do? All right, so I started trying to figure out how to monetize all this. But again, let's talk about the difference between a head voice and a heart voice. My head said, oh yeah, you got to do this. You got to get this business going and start asking people to pay you these monthly fees. And back in March and April and May, people were hurting. They were hurting. And it didn't feel right for me in my heart voice for me to then ask my people who were all out of work to come on board and then pay a subscription to something when they're probably going to be canceling other things altogether.
Mm-hmm. That's when you called me.
That's when I called you, and I said, hey, look, would you be part of, a team of us of behavior change specialists, resilience trainers, life coaches, to help people cope with this stress that because and of course you said you had me at hello, and then so I said, Steph, we really got to do this, and she goes, are you sure? And then that was when I got this message from Archie Nellis, who's my colleague. He's a good friend of mine out of the Philippines, who would tell me he would get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, get on a motorcycle to ride across town to wait in line for a loaf of bread. That put things in perspective. And I said, okay, Steph, we've got to do this. And so she gave me this little Post-it note. I'm telling you, it's all great dreams that are written down are a goal. A dream that is not written down is a wish. And she gave me this, and it said Project Hope. I said, okay, I'm running with that. I took hope and I turned it into an acronym.
How you like to do it all the time?
Yeah, I like it. Like the military doesn't do acronyms, right? All right. And so I said, okay, hope, help other people endure. And we didn't know how we were going to do this. You remember those first few episodes. But I said, okay, let's quickly make some structure to this. 5 speakers, and I'll host it, right? And you co-host with me with Steve Feinberg out of New York. And so we've got 2 co-hosts, so we can manage all the Zoom things and all the Facebook things. And then we would do 2-hour CEC approved webinar workshops on behavior change. And we did 10 episodes starting on April 3rd, running all the way through into, I think, the beginning of July or the end of June, whatever it was. And it was a way of us just saying, look, we're all hurting, but all boats rise together on high tide.
Hey, I got to throw something in, by the way.
Bring it.
We're talking about help other people endure. I just thought of it right now. You're talking about high tide. First of all, I see Virgo 96. I'm very interested to be a coach and help people get after it. Find that first step. Hey, message me or Ken right now.
Yep.
We'll help you out. Hey, I help people.
We'll tell you the route we took. When we were pursuing our own certifications, because there are many routes to go. And I'm glad that this audience member, this friend of ours, is bringing this up, because what I discovered after coming out of the University of Pennsylvania School of Positive Psychology, studying under Dr. Martin Seligman and learning this resilience thing is, we started to look at all of these other certifications that my wife and I were taking, and it really looked like there were 3 different divisions of life coaching. Mm-hmm. There really are. And I don't think anyone will ever explain it like this, but this is my own perspective. And so let me just share this with everyone that's on this CanFit Pro Instagram takeover that we're doing right now.
Whoa, we are seizing it. It's more than a takeover, it's an invasion right now.
So you've got the standard is clinical psychology or psychological health. Okay, like your, for an example of that is like your licensed marriage therapist, okay, or family therapist, okay. There's always a need for this, and as the military calls it, it's the last line of defense, okay, the last line of defense when things get really bad. If also, not just when things get really bad, it's also good preventative maintenance and checks and services, PMCS, okay. Acronym. Here we go. All right. So, and so that's the one standard. Okay. But in clinical psychology and psychological health, the way I understand it is that they're guided interrogatives that are used by the coach, the counselor, to help guide the client into their own solution. They're normally not going to intervene and create a solution for that person. They're going to give them guidance. They know the answer, or they know that they think or think that they know the answer, but they're going to give them guided interrogatives to get them on path. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, okay. Clinical psychology, psychological health. Then you've got the other end of the spectrum. Tony Robbins is an example, and I love him. I didn't love him. He's amazing. I didn't love him at first, and I'm going to tell you a story about that. But he is what the other end of the spectrum is, strategic intervention. While the clinical psychologist, the psychological health counselor, will guide you through interrogatives and to unpack your own solution, but knowing that it's going to be on the path that they set for you. That the other end of the spectrum is where Tony Robbins would simply just intervene and say, no, this is messed up. This is the direction what we need to experiment with. Okay.
With a few curse words in between.
Yeah, he's quite colorful,
Yeah.
and he's good. And I thought that he was all full of puffery, um, but here it was. My wife was getting certified by him, and he doesn't have a certification of his own. But Dr. Chloe Madonis took all of his videos for a 15-year period and made a remote certification and immersion course. And my wife went through that. And I remember one time I was slicing onions and it was making a gumbo like we're doing today. And and I was slicing onions and I was listening and listening to her at in the next room going through her lesson. And I was saying something resonated with me. And I mean, it really triggered something with me. And so she looks over her shoulder and she sees me behind her, with some tears going down my cheeks. And I said, hey, don't say anything. It's the onions. Yeah, right, honey, it's the onions. All right. And so I too wanted to pursue this because I wanted to know the other end of the spectrum. Okay, now, right in the middle, there's a new division that kind of came to existence in around 2006. Dr. Martin Seligman out of UPenn is known as the grandfather for this, and it's called resilience or resiliency, which falls under positive psychology. Now, in positive psychology, they have lots of strategies to help people turn stress into strength, adversities into advantages, obstacles into opportunities, which means this. Okay, it's in positive psychology, we assume that everyone already has trauma, which is the truth. I mean, PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, is basically a reaction to trauma. And that means everyone listening right now, everyone has PTSD. Everyone. Because if it is connected to some trauma that you've had in your life, that means we've all had trauma. That means we all have PTSD. However, Dr. Martin Seligman said that, well, let's see the people that have PTG, post-traumatic growth. Let's see what's really unique and special about how they responded, not reacted, responded to that same adversity and were able to come out better than before. All right, and so that's resilience under the umbrella of positive psychology. And this is what, out of all the things that my wife and I were getting trained in and what you got trained in, I think that really what settled with you as well, while the other certifications were necessary because, resilience training isn't a national credential. You got to have that clinical psychology, that psychological health. That's the national credential if you want that on your, if you want that on your resume. But the resilience approach is what worked for me. And so you want to elaborate on that, how it worked for you?
So, when I found that, here, you see a wall?
Bring it.
There's a wall right there. Not this wall, not this wall. Just in case you're watching, not this wall. In the past though, I'd see things where if it didn't go my way, I didn't have control. This is the thing. One of my 5 principles of resilience is control what's in your control, but don't force whatever was how would I say, out of my control, and I felt it wasn't in my control, I saw it one way. I didn't see multiple ways. And resilience, the concept of resilience also defines that it's the ability to see alternatives, holes in the wall. I'm not proud of it. When I was younger, and I realized that, lose my temper, probably broke a mouse or two. Am I sharing with this you now, with everybody, sharing with this with you right now, but I used that experience. So I got certified as a coach. Well, after meeting you and getting the mentorship from you and Stephanie, I progressively started learning. I started reading more books from John C. Maxwell, excellent author, great coach, great speaker. If you haven't, we're not going to go into detail, but I catch up with books. Which one was intentional? And deeper, right? To be intentional with my actions, turning my shoulds into do's. And that's how that actually influenced my coaching with my clients. Because my clients would say, yeah, I should do that. Let's do it now.
Mm-hmm.
Why wait? Let's do it. Why wait? And also learning resilience, so reading other books and getting that coaching from you, Stephanie. I would use that as people like come to me, because we're not personal trainers. We're fitness coaches. We're coaches. We're mentors. You said you were life changers.
Exactly.
And it's not a workout. Here, I'll show you right now, friends. I'll show you right now. This is my workout studio where I train people one-on-one, where I do my virtual sessions, my virtual classes, we work out. But you know what happens here? It's mindset coaching right here. Mindset coaching. So it's no different. And what I believe in order to be a coach, a good coach, you have to believe that your life wasn't perfect, but there were a lot of opportunities for growth.
Oh, yes.
And I look back and like, okay, there was that time. Think back on it. How would you respond to it? Not react. How would you respond to it now?
Exactly. Because life is only 10% what happens to you and 90% how you respond. Mm-hmm. But the problem is that when it comes to digging into these real deep issues and discovery of their why, the problem is that people often back out of it because they have this feeling in their head voice, and their head voice will win against their heart voice, and their head voice will tell them that life learning is actually only a period of life instead of a way of life.
Right.
And the whole thing about resilience training is that we discovered that there are multiple dimensions of fitness, that it's not just, it used to be that, I'm sure you remember the phrase that life is, they'll say that fitness is 80% nutrition and 20% physical fitness. You remember that phrase?
Oh, God.
How many times did you hear that? But you see, now that's an old theory, okay? Mm-hmm. And there was nothing wrong with that theory because we were trying to get people to eat right, because it's one of the foundational elements of change. Is to put ourselves in a point where we have good fuel in our bodies. Okay, and right. I get that. But there are multiple dimensions. Okay, so you got physical, nutritional, you've got emotional. There's your resilience training, your life coaching, and behavior change right there. Emotional fitness or mental toughness, psychological capital. Then you've got social fitness. How are we interacting and connecting with people? Dude, as you and I talked about, I had a tough month last month. Mm-hmm. And if it wasn't for my conversations with you and Steve out of New York and Wendy Major and my wife, I think that I would be in a bad spot. So you need your support system. Dr. Al Siebert, who wrote the Resiliency Advantage, a very thin book that really simplifies resiliency, the Resiliency Advantage by Dr. Al Siebert, he says that, how you think and support system and genetics are the three key resources for resilience. And so having that support system is quintessential to success of overcoming adversity of any kind. All right. And then there's family. Are you connected to your family in some way? That's you have to have that connection. You can't let it go and regret it later that you didn't really give an opportunity to embrace that. And which means that a lot of times that you're going to have to do what is the big F, the big forgiveness. Okay. And forgiveness doesn't mean that you agree with what happened to you. It allows your heart to focus on hope instead of hate. I know if Steve is listening right now, I'm trying to win the gold medal in the alliteration Olympics by that last one. All right. Because he said I have the silver. All right. And so that's what we need to do. Okay. So, and then I've added another dimension of financial fitness. So really having 7 dimensions of fitness, because, fitness to me is to counter stress. We look in the mirror, if we're not satisfied with the way we look, it's the biggest killer of self-esteem. And so if it's the biggest killer of self-esteem, it might be booster of self-esteem and look in the mirror and say, I'm doing a great job. But if fitness is really to counter that stress and to make us better than we were before, then we all know that financial stress hits us all. Even some of the wealthiest people in the world will have financial stress numerous times in their lives. Yes. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so if that is a stressor, then the whole resilience concept is to counter that stress and to use that stress as a source of strength. And so, between what I learned from the Dave Ramsey Financial Freedom Program and stuff like that, my wife and I have done our best, even under this COVID-19 crisis and being out of work, to take what we've had and use the best of it and make it grow. Okay. And we're going to talk about that at 5 p.m. Eastern time when I talk about the 72-hour survival kits, which are behind me in a table. When we do that show, we're going to talk about the mindset behind survival and what it means to just be prepared, but not to be a prepper. Okay, no offense to the preppers that might be listening right now, but to be prepared is just to relieve that stress because, I know I have water, 1 gallon per family member for at least a few days if, things just go, really sour, really south, okay? I know that I have rations if the canned goods are expired and I didn't check them on time and we couldn't get to the store, okay? I know that I have some, camping foods and I have a camping stove, but we'll talk about that. But this is also goes into that being prepared, but not being a prepper, okay? And so those are the 7 dimensions of fitness. And when you think of yourself as a personal trainer, or group fitness instructor training under 7 dimensions, just like you said 10 minutes ago, that's when you're a coach and not a trainer. Because you're trying to change their life with a comprehensive approach through 7 dimensions instead of just doing the push-up to proper form.
That's it.
That's where things change.
And we can go on and on, you and I, talking about this and talking about coaching.
Yeah,
and
where you thought this would be a 30-minute show, it's already been 45 minutes.
45 minutes, and Instagram's going to cut it off in 15. But
you might want to do a 5-minute wrap-up or some kind.
Yeah, I know, but I just want to say that's it. That's what I call coaching beyond the reps. And when we do a push-up challenge, we're instructing, we can do a push. I can tell you, keep your hands at armpit level, all right? Embrace the abdominals, squeeze those glutes, tighten the quads up. But what are you feeling? Can you be mindful?
The esoteric approach, exactly.
And go. You can actually meditate. It's weird. You can do mindful meditation as you're pumping out a squat or a burpee. If you're present in all the movement, you're not thinking about the past. You're not thinking about worry of the future. You're now. And so it's another thing I kind of incorporate into my training. But also you're thinking like, look, you just did a push-up. Be happy about it. If people say, oh, I can only do 5. All right, 5.5. You did half push-up. Celebrate that. Next one will be 6. We'll keep on working.
And don't forget, and I know you've done this before, but to reflect on where they come from. Yeah, you did 5.5 push-ups today, but what did you do a month ago?
Exactly.
One? Guess what? You're already 500% better. That's the key. How do we reflect on that feeling and make all of our goals come to life? Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. So the intent of this show was to point out, some of the things that we're doing in the Instagram takeover and be a little bit more elaborate with this in our discussion, our dialogue. And it's important to have these conversations, especially in a world where we have just clicks and comments.
Yeah, exactly.
And so we want everyone to know that if you want the full training this week and again this Saturday at CanFit Pro 2020 virtual, you can get the full keynote, Mastering the Game of Growth, at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And it's going to have a 17-page handout and a supplementary handout that's several pages too. And I have a bonus at the end that'll put them on a 30-day journey, examples of what to do for a 30-day journey to bounce back better than before. And all that can be found only by being part of CanFit Pro 2020 virtual.
Yeah, so by the way, if you're watching this right now, and you're interested, it's this Saturday from 9 to 4:30, or 8:30 to 4:30, canfitpro.com. You're going to go to, I think it's canfitpro2020.com, or just go to canfitpro.com.
Just
go to the events, Go to the events, look up the virtual conference. You're going to see it. It's visible there. Sign up. It's worth it. You can actually, the great pricing, because not only when you register, not only will you have one day, this Saturday, there's another one in October where Ken and I will probably be jumping in together, and in November as well. And we got some amazing speakers, some amazing
So it's a
people.
4-month experience, right?
Oh yeah, well, it started in August, 2 days. Quite weird, quite different. Changed from, but you know what? A lot of positive feedback from that event when, going from in-person to virtual. We were still able to connect. It was fun. It was Brady Bunch. It was Hollywood Squares. It was amazing. It was fun to see.
Hollywood Squares, you did it yourself.
Oh, Jim J. Bullock. Remember him? Anyway, so...
Yeah, don't miss it. And get your CECs, your continuing education credits, or continuing education units. I know that CanFit Pro is offering the full amount to be a part of this entire event. And we're coming up, but even though you might not have as much work as you had before, you still need to validate your renewal for your CECs, your certification.
Mm-hmm.
So what a great way to get that through one of the most unique and special and largest virtual fitness conferences ever.
Yeah, you know what? And you get not only that, we're plugging this away, but you're going to get the recordings too. So if you miss a session, you have to go somewhere. Hey, you get the recordings too. There are some sessions I wasn't able. I wanted to attend. I attended one session, but I want to attend another one. Hey, you get the link. You get access to them. If you get all access pass, you get the recordings. So go for it. It's worth it. You're gonna have people like Ken. All right, Ken. I'm gonna name drop right now, Ken. I'm gonna take
name drop.
I'm kind of taking over by proxy here. All right, we have Trisha Silverman as well. We have Trisha. Who else do we have? Todd Durkin in November. We had.
I don't think he's this month.
No, and we have who else? Lawrence Biscontini as well. Great guy.
Lawrence is amazing.
Oh, fantastic. When he does keynotes as well, he draws the audience in. If you want to have a mentor, Lawrence is a guy to connect with, because he connects with everybody as well, and he's fantastic. I'm missing people. There's a lot of names here. We'll
make certain it gets in the chat.
Yeah, you know what? Seriously. So if you have any questions, I saw a few people. By the way, so get registering. Go to canfitpro.com.
You're going to save this video, right?
Oh yeah, I'm going to save it, friends. I'm going to save it. We have a lot of people here. I want to see here. Kim Bassler, Food Freedom. Can't wait to be attending this weekend. Well, looking forward to seeing you there. Well, I'll see you in the chat room. I'll be a delegate as well. You may know me as well as the social media volunteer if you caught the videos in August, which was really fun. We have we have Gary Henry's here, really passionate. Virgo 96. Yes, I'm very interested for the FIS certified certificate. Go for it. Get after it. Don't let it stop you. If it's your calling, if it's reaching out to you, go for it. Do more research. Once again, this message myself or Ken, SGT Ken W on Instagram and Facebook. Is that right, Ken?
Yep.
Excellent. And more. That's why we're here. We want to help. We want to help. Serve and lead you to be a better version of yourself.
Wendy Majors just tagged us and put a comment in there that she'll be there. Of course you will. So I'm going to go ahead and close this with you. A quote for the day.
Okay, yeah, because I know you. You always have, every time, you have some of the most awesome quotes. Every session or every phone call, there's a quote in there. And
you want to know the real story behind it? I've never said this before, ever.
Okay.
So I was in a band in college, a rock band. And so I made a lot of songs. And so when you put that between the theater and the voice and the songwriting, and then my wife and I were also co-authors of a magazine for nearly a decade. We did a lot of writing, so there was a technical skill set behind that as well. And so when I make these quotes, I'm trying to tell the story in one small quote, but also to count the beats and the sounds so that it is also like a song. And that's how I come up with these things. So I appreciate that. But the quote that is for Mastering the Game of Growth, the one main quote, and there are many quotes in Mastering the Game of Growth, is these are not times to bring back what we had, but to become something better.
Amen.
Drop the mic.
All right. We'll leave it at that note. Leave it on that note. Thank you very much.
So 1 hour from now, don't forget to check out the CanFit Pro Instagram page again, because we're going to have the equipped for emergencies, bug in and bug out bag basics. Mm-hmm. You hear that, Steve? Yeah. I'm going to take that gold medal from the Alliteration Olympics right there.
Yeah, and don't forget, okay, the push-up challenge is still on until 7 p.m. Eastern time. It's not too late to enter. Post your videos. We're giving awards away for both most creative, best presentation, and most number of push-ups throughout the 12-hour period. So, hey, go for it. It's not too late. Go do as many as you can. All right. You have 3 hours left, and we're giving away, Ken is giving away one of his awesome courses, the resilience training course.
Correct. The Road to Resilience.
Road to Resilience. It's worth it. It's a must-have in your toolkit. Thank you very much, Ken. Thank you very much for this conversation. Everybody, have a great Wednesday. Stay safe, stay healthy, and remember to live every day with joy, curiosity, and passion.
Hooah!
Hooah!